every successful executive has been more heartbroken by the industry than their lovers. Take that to the bank anywhere.
Hello guys, you're welcome to the Listening Sessions podcast, a show about the music industry, its players, and the game. My name is Obina Agu, music businessman and your host. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us again, Listening Sessions podcast, season 3. I'm excited. We have another powerhouse. On the LS Spot today, my guest can be described as a force of nature, one of the most influential entertainment lawyers in the country today, without a question. If you are a player in this industry and you don't know her, your circle is definitely too small. Really. Please welcome Oyinkansola.
The cat got your tongue?
No. Like, Foza is so you right now that sometimes I have to remind myself
that I have another name in it. Good morning, everybody. I just want to say that it took 7 years, 7 days to finally get here, and I'm finally on the biggest podcast in the industry, LS Pod. Thank you to the crew for inviting me here. I mean, it took approximately 3 seasons, to get here, but I feel honored. I feel fulfilled. I never expected it, but I'm here. Hi guys. Thank you guys for having me here today.
I shouldn't have even bothered with that whole thing I was doing. Foza, those are guys, the one, the only Foza. She's here today, man.
Hi guys.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to be here.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So, how was Ghana?
Charlie, Ghana be like peace. See, Ghana was so I went to Ghana with, actually, usually every year I try to do 1 month out of this country because I was telling you earlier, it's it stifles your excellence. And for people like us that, myself, that were we, even in our private corners, we like to be very excellent and diligent according to global standard. If you stay in this country for 12 months in a stretch, you find yourself doing things like a Nigerian, which is a bad thing because you start driving on the wrong lane, you start beating traffic lights, you start yelling in traffic, you get crazy to somebody. So it has a way of just, making you go crazy. So what I try to do is every year I try to do 1 month in a country that is civilized and things are working normally. My most preferred country is usually the UK, but when I did the expense, first was £700 to one. $700 to £1. I was like, holy cow. How are we gonna do that? Then we had the COVID test going in and out, so I was just like, okay, so what's the nearest place that my pockets can reasonably afford? And I was just like, I went to Ghana for Access in 2019, and it was a beautiful experience. So I was like, okay, let me go back, and I went, and it was amazing. From Kotoka Airport, you begin to feel like you're in Itro, which is very sad because Muritala, sends you back to the ghetto. It's just really sad. But Ghana was really chilled. A lot of business opportunities there, cool people. Shout out to my girl Liza. She was my host, in Ghana.
Oh, that's the boom play lady, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Liza is my G, my sister right there, So and a beautiful husband. And we had a good time. So it was really relaxing. It wasn't really work, but every time it's just like in this life, every time I go, work is following me is like addiction. So we got good vibes. I met a lot of interesting, young artists there. So, like the Malcolm Nunas, Black Sheriff. I think I almost saw Yautog. I didn't see Yautog. Who else? I saw Brian again. I know Brian. Brian's my guy. And I went with my artists there, so we shot some videos. So it was cool.
Nice.
It was cool.
Nice. What do you think about the Ghanaian music industry? How do you feel them out?
I feel like they need Foza. Yeah.
Talk your shit.
They need Foza. I just kind of realized, oh my God, it's beautiful there. The music is very beautiful and rich. I met this producer called Nick. I keep Nick. You're gonna forgive me. I keep messing up his name, but he's a brilliant and beautiful producer, and JMJ, who is an OG, in the Afro dancehall scene, right from Ghana and iLife. Beautiful producer also. I met Walasi, who's an amazing performer. I met this guy called Pure Akan, and I went for his listening, and I was dancing so much to the music that a Ghanaian walked up to me. I was speaking Tree, and I was looking at him like, sorry. And he was like, you don't understand what I said. No. He said, so why are you dancing? I'm like, because this is so nice. See, the producer's name is Twisted for Good Years or something like that. But I promise you, if the right A&R finds that producer, that's what Kanye is looking for. To work with, like, in Africa. He has mastered the art of exploring African sounds and mixing it with hip hop. Maybe you should listen to that album. His name is Pure Akan. The album is called Yame or something like that.
Okay.
But it's
P.O. Akan.
No, Pure Akan. Pure Akan.
Okay, Akan.
Yeah. Amazing music. And I was telling them, I'm like, if I were to work with this artist, I would just work on the branding and the positioning for, like, Europe, because this is the artist that you don't need to know what he's singing, but the music just moves you. Same thing with Walasi. So the music is 100, and they have the skill and they're diligent. They are faithful to the craft. They take their rehearsal seriously. They take their live performance seriously. The business part is really missing, and which is one of the things that we're going to go there to try and fix, in terms of the legal, from the legal aspect and also from the business aspect. There's really no major 3 presence there, which lends to the fact that you see that, okay, the major 3, because the major 3 only comes in when they see that some form of local structure in place. So that shows to tell you that there's a lot of work to be done. I tell my people that they're probably like 5 years behind, and we were like 10 years behind the world. So it's like, but the music is so good, and I think, like, that is beautiful. The music there is beautiful.
My friend who stays out there was telling me that they're very chilled, very.
They're very chilled.
So the do you think that's perhaps part of what is making you feel like, as a Nigerian, especially one who lives in Lagos, you understand hustle, So does it make you feel like maybe we can come out here and
definitely, that's why. Definitely, that's why, because you're just like Charlie, like, so like I said, I went with my artist, and we went to this producer's place, and after we finished chatting for like an hour, the light went off. So, we from Lagos, we're used to lights going off. It did not do anything to us. But it was so stressed. It was just like, why is there no light? Why? I was just like, huh? We are stressed that there's no light. So we're about to leave because, okay, we'll come back. And he just picked up his guitar and he was like, no, let's vibe and make some music. So in his mind, he was expecting maybe we just do like 1 song. My artist on the spot did like 5 songs. So the guy came out, I was like, Charlie, you don't want to come down. And if you had allowed it, they would have gone like 10, just to build the layout. So they came out. So, but in his mind, he was just like, man, this is why I like you Nigerians, man. You people, I'm in my own artist's mind, I'm sure you were looking like, I'll never see this guy again. So I got hook out right now.
Exactly.
So, and I was telling them, I said, this is probably why you guys, at some point, I can see why people generally will be upset with Nigerians, because I feel like we've tasted so much poverty. We don't want to go back. So anytime we see small glimpse of we hook it, we'll be like Parasite, we hook it there, suck everything till we're done. So maybe that's why they'll have a bit of problem with us. But definitely I feel like they need Foza there, and we're gonna make it happen. Because Ghana's music deserves to be heard. I mean, see what the Asaka boys are doing with the drill music. It's amazing. And these are like 17, 18-year-old boys.
Wow.
And it's some like, and when they now translate what they're saying, for you're just like, how are you? I know you're a hip hop head, right? And I'm just like, we're playing in this country. In like I don't even like if I send those boys to 2 of the 3 people that they will be like,
but we have this collective in Abuja, guys who are trying to do
the
something
Apex
like,
Village boys.
yes, Apex Village and on
Odumodu Black.
Yeah, anti-war gangster. Yes.
I mean, I would love to see like a collaboration between the Kumerica boys, the Asaka boys, and that it would be nice to see that vibe going.
Well, sounds like something Foza is going to facilitate.
Cindy, call me.
Wow, then thank you so much for ever being here today. Really. So back to how this whole thing started, right? If you were a young lawyer coming out of law school today, but still had the benefit of the experience you already have now, what area of the industry would you focus on? And would you even be doing entertainment law to start with?
With the bit of experience, I think I'll just straight go to VC, venture capitalist, financing. Entertainment law for me is why I am as successful as I am, because it's giving me like I feel like I tell people like the most successful people, even when you do an analysis in the more established market, the entertainment lawyers are the most successful executives in the industry, period. And that's because we're like an hive where everybody converges to. So being a lawyer basically just gives me access to know a lot of people, so I can be the what's that thing they call it? I wanted to use one metaphor, but it's not coming. I'm like the guy that is in the middle of 2 warring partners, and I'm just there because I know this person. So I can make the decision to either end the war or to flame the war or to, whatever. So that's what, and so I will always still choose entertainment law because it gives me that access and network. However, I think early enough I would go straight into venture capital because right now it's kind of like the major thing we need right now. But I wouldn't trade any of my experience for anything because it's been lit.
But a lot of substance is needed to be a VC.
I know.
You have all this money you are not showing us and we are not seeing.
Which money?
Tell us about this VC money.
No, like I because it's a new. Now I'm beginning to like, that's what I'm focusing on now.
Okay.
And if I probably started like a year or 2 years earlier, it would have probably been easier. There are a lot of things in terms of qualification also. Not because I don't know, but because of the aesthetic of it. Of how the world is. So some people want to see letters behind your name. People want to see just things that makes them feel good, not necessarily makes them show that those things are what I'm now currently working on. It takes a while, but yeah, we're getting there.
Lovely. Talking about getting there, I know that for a very long time lawyers were seen as a luxury in the industry, or people you only engage when the roof is on fire.
Yeah.
Right. So to what extent would you say that this attitude has changed in the last 5 to 10 years?
Disregard a lawyer at your own risk.
Boom.
That's it right now. When I came into this industry, I'm 8 years at the bar, but I'm like 10 years, more than 10 years in the industry. We from the second month of me from the second month of me being called to the bar, I realized that I was a dispensable part of the industry. Like, people don't really care. They actually do not care. So I had to formulate a strategy to easily change that. So one of the things I realized was part of the reason why there was lawyer apathy was because they also weren't making a lot of money. Outside, it was just show, and they were, it's just like the 1%, which is still the same thing happening. It's just 1% making, money in the industry, and that money is not stable. So because it's not stable, they don't see why they should have people on their payroll, So it never used to make sense to them. So my first strategy was to So I come into your team and I create a new avenue so that I make my money from there. So I'm coming in, adding value, both value and financial, monetary value, so that I can get my own money, so that you're not like, So when I tell you this is my percentage, they not born you where to argue with me, technically. So that was kind of like how I navigated that. And in the last 5 years, it kind of grew because we now started doing, major, changing legacy stuff for people. And, people now started understanding that even if you're going to get a lawyer, you have to get a lawyer that is also business development savvy. So that's kind of like what separated me immediately from a lot of my colleagues, was because of the business development aspect that I had. And I learned it from PD Picasso and K, Aristocrat Records.
Shout out PD.
So shout out PD Picasso. It was amazing working with PD, because when I came in, I didn't understand. I knew, because of my background in law, I had a lot of organization, a lot of logical way to thinking, a lot of, and I did entrepreneurship in school. Shout out to Babcock Uni. We were forced to do entrepreneurship. So I had basic fundamentals of, how an entrepreneur should be. Yeah. But in the industry, it just seemed like nobody really cared about that. But when I came to Aristocrat, when we were doing meetings, PD would say, why are we shooting a 2 million naira video when we've not found out how to make money back from it? So if we're going to shoot it, what's the value that it's going to bring? So those kind of conversations and meetings, really opened my mind. I learned how to do a business plan properly for the industry with Aristocrat. PD didn't need to say all his vision. But because of also the kind of person I am, I can see, if you open the book a bit, I can see like what you're trying to do. So when I see Aristocrat doing the pop-up shop and everything, I was just like, I was there. I knew this was going to happen. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of Aristocrat. Like, I'm so really, really proud. It's a testament of, if you put things down and you're dedicated to it. PD was dedicated to this vision. My boss was dedicated to this vision. It was so amazing. And I think that was part of the things that stuck with me, going out, because I started working with Aristocrat. I worked with Aristocrat the year I finished school.
Okay.
So it was between that year and law school.
Yeah.
So I left because I was going to law school.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, juggle both, in that. But the interesting thing was the person I was assigned to work with Aristocrat, I was working with Monarch Talent Agency, the management part of it, which was another beautiful thing, that, I understood from the beginning, that Aristocrat was a group, and we had the Monarch Talent Agency, which was management, we had the record label, which is Aristocrat. There was, I think there was a live events part, and so that structuring gave me a view of, oh my God, like, this guy is onto something. And it's really not rocket science, because if you go and check Universals and the rest, they don't name it the same thing, but they have like different angles and stuff. Yeah. So I was like, this is smart, So I worked with Monarch Talent Agency, but PD thought I was so awesome and good. I kind of worked across. So and the artist I was working with, I think I was so good at my job that she was like, I know you're in law school, but please, in the name of Jesus, you have to come back and help me out. So I used to still go back once in a while and help out, when necessary and stuff. And it was just a beautiful experience. That's what gave me the idea of this can really be structured. And when I started my legal career, everybody I worked with would testify to the fact that I always try to put a structure in place. Even though it never made sense to them, they were always saying, "Oh, you are wasting our money. You are doing." But or now everybody's doing the same thing. It's doing the structure, and you're just like, yeah, we told you, So shout out to PD.
The visionary.
Yeah.
Man, PD is definitely onto something, man. Like I I was telling someone the other day, besides Maven and any other company that I don't know, I know Maven for sure. Aristocrat Records is actually the only other label that I know that is like running like a label.
No, so I stop calling. I call it an entertainment company, because there's a difference between a label and an entertainment company. Aristocrat is an entertainment. It's even more of an entertainment company than I think Maven. And that's because I know shade. Maven is doing fantastic. I feel like Maven is still focusing on just being a label for now. I feel like Aristocrat has developed the other arms that makes it an entertainment company as a whole. So yeah, and they did that because the record label was successful.
Yes.
To a point where not help them. The other ones were running, but not made them be able to amplify the other aspects of the company. And stuff. So yeah.
So talking about this Foza label relationship, tell us about the G Worldwide thing. What were you doing within the confines of that company and for the Kiss Daniel movement?
So shout out to Jeezy, Emperor Jeezy. So I came in as the management and business development.
Okay.
And I worked with them up until I think we released Woju. So I left the December Woju began to blow up. And the reason I left was not. I'm still very cool with Jeezy, and I say what's up to Kiss once in a while. But like, it's just I left because I saw that if I had continued with G Worldwide, I was going to be stuck being a manager, and I didn't want to be stuck being a manager. It didn't make sense to them, because they were just like.
They felt you were pretty good at it.
Yeah, they were like, you're already like this thing is that we're about to blow. We're going to be popular. So they thought that I wasn't 100% committed to it. But for me, I was just like, I don't want to just be a manager. It's going to be one of the many things it's me, but I don't and I wasn't going to be able to focus on being a lawyer because I needed to be that because the industry needed that more than a manager. So that was why I left. But then it was interesting because Jeezy also taught me some pretty interesting street ways to doing the business and cornering the business. Shout out, Jeezy was a hustler, man. Emperor Jeezy was a hustler. Like the street promo we did for Kiss. It was next level. See, the street promo we did was so hardcore that it reminded me of when Jay-Z used to sell mixtapes. That's the level G
like
was.
You guys went all out.
I said there was a day we had a meeting with 40 DJs.
Whoa.
At Tantalizer in Ikeja. And Jeezy, we both sat down with all the DJs, and he was having straight conversations with them. What do you want? I want this song. I want this artist to be successful. They gave their terms. Everybody signed agreements, and it was like so. The first single was Shoye. I think that didn't probably do well, maybe because of timing, and also maybe the song wasn't the song. But that built the momentum for when Woju dropped. It was just like, bro, like and also for me because I'm Jeezy made me understand the idea of scarcity, right, to increase value. I didn't understand it then, because I was like, the formula should be, make the product available for people to see so that they can shop. Jeezy's was show a glimpse of what could possibly be, but make it excellent and beautiful enough so that when they want it, you can increase the value. So that was so. Nice. If you notice that when Kiss first came out, Kiss wasn't everywhere. So the first time Kiss started going where it was charging the same thing as the other artists, and people were complaining. But in less than 3 months, people started complying to it. So shout out to Jeezy for that strategy, and I think it worked. It worked pretty well for him till they fell out.
Definitely. So you talked about promo and how hardcore how hard you guys went. Some weeks ago I was hanging out in a lounge club, on a Friday night.
Don't give them promo.
And I was just there, music and everybody, and it just hit me again, like, at the end of the day, maybe this good old leg walk, even though it's tedious, is still like the most effective way. Do you think it's enough to just put out the music and then just do every other thing aside from doing that dog-head?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. The success of David is in Asa's incredible legwork with the club scene. I think the success with any artist should be the success. As much as everybody says it was pandemic that helped Omale, Omale did not do any promo, which is a very stupid statement, by the way. Omale and his team did, at least that I was aware of, because because I'm an executive, I'm always on the lookout for new strategies and what's going on. Before the EP was released, at least 4 months before, I started hearing like all the OAPs talking about it.
Yeah.
OAPs just don't wake up in the morning. We're like, who are you? Are you Michael Jackson? Even Michael Jackson said has to sell the music to you. You're not Justin Bieber. So they're not just going to wake up one day and say, oh, we've heard of this guy called Omale. No. You take the music to them, you sit them down, and we're human beings, right? If I have mentees that randomly send me gifts, I'm not a gift person. That's not my love language or my commitment language. My commitment language is I show up for people, right? So, but if you send me a gift, in my mind, it's just like, oh, okay, you thought about me. Not like somewhere in my mind, I'm forced to reciprocate, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you also need to understand social skills. And even if you pay someone, this payola we're talking about, you give someone 100K and you're a dickhead, they're still not going to play your music.
Yeah.
You don't show up for interview, they're still going to play your music. Let me tell you something as little. So I work with a reggae artist. This fantastic reggae artist called Jablin. It's a new guy. And
we're going to come to that.
Yeah,
I was just
so one of the things that I told him that let's do was find all the DJs we can get and do drops for them. My guy literally did 100 drops for DJs, and we sent it out to about like all the 100 people. We didn't get any response. I wasn't bothered, But I said, just keep sending them personal email. And for every email you send, you don't do a blast email. You send to each person. So his road manager will sit down, like 2 weeks to release, sit down. Hello, DJ KYs. Please find attached, blah, 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 and your DJ drop. Because I say, if you do that, keep doing that. First of all, they just keep seeing Jablin, they keep seeing Jablin, they keep Jablin. It registers there. So even if they don't play the music, don't leave that. Now, the day that your hard work and luck and opportunity mixes together, you can be like, oh, this guy. Then they check and they see they've seen 4. Now, DJs from Costa Rica, there's a DJ right now that is begging us that please anytime you call Costa Rica, I must be your official DJ because we sent a DJ drop to him. So you're like, it's this thing sometimes is because we also always have to remember that art is appeals to emotions, and that emotion is being influenced by different things. There are many artists that people have met one-on-one and they literally just unfollow their music because they were dickheads, and they literally just stopped inviting them for stuff or paying them for stuff because they were dickheads. There are some that they were just so amazing that people just keep calling them just because they want to be around them. I have an artist that I work with that every show we go for, I know that I'm getting another show because she's such an angel and she has that good aura and she's always fine. I'm the one that is always upset. They'll be like, that your manager? She's like, no, don't worry. But she'll come and say, they're stressing me. Foza, please make sure they don't stress me. But she go and she's like, oh my God, okay, I'll talk to Foza for you, And so it's like the dynamics of it. So art is subjective. It appeals to your emotion. So if you don't do that work of appealing to people's emotion and thinking that if you do Instagram ads or you do Facebook ads alone, I also get that resources play into those things. But like the legwork is still very essential. So whatever resources your legwork can take you to do, whatever legwork your resources can take you to do it in the meantime and just build that. But I don't think it can be excluded from. Like, it cannot be excluded.
Yeah, because go out there, meet the DJs, do something as opposed to just we have dropped it, we have done a few ads, hopefully we get playlisted and that's it. So
even the dynamics of playlisting, for digital promotion, it's pretty much the same thing, right? So let's say for example, Boomplay gives you all the playlists, in the world, the first release, and you're not decent enough to post Boomplay and say thank you Boomplay for it. Boomplay, the editors there's no machine that is doing it. The editors at the back are just gonna be like, okay,
you are too wise.
you think it's by your might and your power. All right, next release, you don't see any playlist, then you're now gonna meet your distributor. Why did I get a playlist? Your distributors also are playing a game of numbers.
True.
You know, everybody's trying to eat. Everybody's trying to make this thing. And also, how do you treat your distributor? I work with distributors that, you know, sometimes I get playlists, sometimes I don't get playlists. But the days that, like, I don't get playlists, I go to them like, my team, how far now, you guys? Can you let me know what's up? What did we do right and everything? They'll say, oh, no, the editors didn't just speak. Oh, calm and cool. Bounce with them. Be happy with them. They're not the label. My job is to promote, because if I promote it properly, even though I don't get playlists in the first week, if I promote properly, do marketing properly, I put the effort in it, I'm going to get the playlist I need, because Apple will not see that 5,000 people listen the first day and not say, oh,
it's like people like this song.
Like big talk boys, because that's a big talk boys.
Yeah.
Exactly what happened. So you are just like, and sometimes when artists complain, I'm just looking at them like, it's like the glow that you're smoking. It's not premium again, because I don't understand this nonsense you're talking about. I love artists, but they stress me, man. Jesus. God.
Man, it's a love-hate, bittersweet
No, man.
relationship.
Every successful executive
Yeah.
has been more heartbroken by the industry than their lovers. Take that to the bank anyway. My first 2 heartbreaks were from artists in the industry.
If you want to talk to me, talk to me. Stop coming from the covers.
Yeah.
from the corners.
I promise you, like, it's like we've been so when you meet a successful, you know, African executive, on the outside, you know, we're like tough, hard, rocky, but on the inside we're like chocolate. We're just like, you're so annoying, but the music is so good. That's really how it is. It's so frustrating.
really. So, where Foza, sometime in the last 5 years, split sheets entered into our vocabulary in the local industry, and it has remained a permanent prop in people's mouths like toothpicks, you know. So I want to know, is signing a split sheet enough to guarantee that an artist, producer, or songwriter gets what is due them for being part of a recording, or are there other moving parts that people perhaps don't talk about?
So just because it's the listening session, and every time I always see comments like, oh, I learned so much, I learned some history. So I'm going to give back up a little bit of history to how the split sheet came about. So we represent, you know, I represent, and my team represents the dopest producer ever in Africa. Shout out to SARS. You know, or Sarenti.
SARS, what up?
I love you, SARS. So when we started working with SARS, you know, SARS, the first time we pitched to SARS and said, oh, you know, let's work with you and stuff. SARS said one thing that kind of stuck with us, which was, what is the extra value that I can create? So SARS has always been a value guy. SARS has never been, you know, SARS has always been, what value am I bringing into the industry? And we, on the spot, literally just say, oh, you know, producers right now are not properly compensated. You know, they are not, you shouldn't. Then a lot of producers were switching into being artists during that time. So, and SARS was like, I don't want to be an artist, you know, but I don't want to die poor, you know. So, you know, on the spot, we're just like, oh yeah, so SARS, we can do, let's do this, let's do that. And that's kind of what birthed the SARS Academy.
Lovely.
And the SARS Academy was going to be focused on, and we told him, you do the creative part, let's handle the music business part of it, and legal, management, and all that, you know. And we set that up. So during the research for us setting this thing, we found out that, oh my God, there's zero idea of what publishing is in this industry. There's been some conversation here and there with some people that, you know, but then nobody has done the dirty work. Nobody has, you know, see, you guys, when I die, you guys need to put on my tombstone, Foza did selfless work for Africa industry. But I did 3 years of non-profit work to make sure. So when I see young lawyers these days, arguing some split sheets and arguing some points, and they're behaving like dickheads. I just want to just go and slap that. Do you know where are you? Who are you? But then again, this is why we fought for the independence.
Exactly.
Because if I start doing that, then I become like the Nigerian leaders.
Exactly.
So I quickly retraced my step there, and back there I was just like, yes, this is what you prayed for, but just guide them and tell them we're still your sons. I'm still your mother. So anyways, what we now did was we now went back to all the old songs, the old songs in the industry, and we said, let's find the producers and make them get what was due to them.
Wow.
So this conversation of split sheet started. So we went back to the law and tried to find out what the Copyright Act says about producers and stuff. And the discovery was amazing because the law the law had to be interpreted. It wasn't like clear. It had to be interpreted. So it required skills and technical expertise. So we had people like Olumide Mustafa, Justin Ige, that were very, very versed in, that aspect of law. And myself and my partner, Iredu Mario, also, where we sat down and brought our heads together and expertise. I had practical experience. Ire, smart guy. Olumide, smart policymaker. Justin, smart litigator, came together and said, let's see what the law says, and we came up with this is what the law says, which is what the industry is using right now. So all of you should be very thankful to us, those 4 people. And so we came together and we saw that. So the first thing we did, we went to COSON's office to have a conversation, because if COSON didn't understand, there was no way the industry would understand. Now we sat down and we had a conversation with Chief Tony Okoroji. Very beautiful man, very open to discussion. Yeah, you see, and that's the thing about people. Everybody forms an opinion from the outside without actually doing the work, And I don't know Chief Tony Okoroji from anywhere. None of my partners knew Okoroji from anywhere. We just went to the office and said we wanted to have a conversation, and he gave us a date and a time, and we sat down and we started having conversations, and he made us understand, because Okoroji was a pretty dope producer back in the day, and he explained the process of production to us. Which was, the producer, when the Copyright Act was enacted or drafted, the producer was the guy that just brings the violinist, the drummer, and this thing, brings them together, records it on the mixing board or everything, and tells you, okay, maybe the sound should be like this. So it was all analog. So their understanding of production was just bringing everybody together to. And if you check the law, there's kind of like a space in the law that identifies that. So when we were explaining to him that, no, producers right now, we don't need to call violinists, we don't need to call this thing, everything is pack on the laptop. I immediately could see the disconnect. So it was not our job to now transition and say, sir, this is kind of like the new way and everything. And he was graceful enough to, open his mind to say, oh, okay, is this how you guys, are doing it now, and the progression and everything. So explaining how sample packs come in, how license pack come in, because all those things needed breaking down and explanation. And we got to that conclusion, and they told us, okay, this is what we need to do if we want to go through the law, because they don't have this and that and that.
Yeah.
And they helped us start. So when we started sending letters to all the OGs, all your biggest songs, everybody was revolting, obviously, because we were like, why would I give producer 50%? COSON was very instrumental in brokering a lot of peace to say, look, this is what, shout out to Mr. Chinedu Chukwuji also, the former general manager of COSON. This is the interpretation we've come up to. The law can't be reviewed now, but this is practically what makes sense now, And there was a lot of brokering of conversations that COSON helped us to do at that point, So that now led to a spiral out of effect. So everybody's like, so we have splits. Oh, so we can have percentage. Oh, we can do this. And at that point, we started having, dealings with international artists where you're now saying, oh, there's points on this. Oh, there's points on that. And I think everybody kind of still uses my own split sheet template in this industry. But I've seen it, like, I've seen so many of my contracts come back to me. I'm just like, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to like edit my own contract, but it's fine. So the split sheet, I remember the day I sat down to draft a split sheet template, and I was just like, what am I supposed to put here? But then again, the understanding and everything we did helped us to, even down to the language. So a lot of, we had to be, I think it's only specific to Nigeria. You see, a lot of time you see instrumental composer.
Yeah.
You know, you see producer composer, which is, if you're dealing with the foreign market, you just see composer.
Yeah.
But if you do that here, there's a different definition of composer. So we put those things, those lingua, you know, to differentiate stuff and stuff. So then split sheet now became, you know, I remember there's this experience that stays in my mind, which is why I never get upset when I see that I don't have a G-Wagon I'm driving because I worked so hard for this industry. Or when an artist does not appreciate, you know, what we've done. It's like, I think Oriental.
Okay.
We gathered so there was SARS, there was Mastercraft, there were, I think, D-Tunes, I think there was Legendary Beats. I'm going to find that picture. It's going to be in my book.
I remember that picture.
Yeah. So it's like...
had everybody.
Yeah, it had everybody in there. And OJB walked in to that meeting. And, you know, he was very frail.
Damn.
And he was just... And he said, I know you guys won't understand what these lawyers are doing right now. And he turned to us and he said, please, don't mind their foolishness. But please just do what you're doing because they need it. There's nothing, he said, there's nothing you can do for me anymore. There's really nothing you can do, but just please help them not to end up like people like us. Yeah. And the next day he died. So, yeah. So every time I want to just say, fuck this industry, fuck all of you, I'm going to another industry, I just remember that I'm just like, they need a foundation. So anyway, so that's how we've got into split sheet. But now this split sheet conversation,
yeah,
I think it's pretty much settled. It's pretty much standard now that everybody's signing a split sheet.
Yeah.
The new argument is mechanical points. Do I get mechanical points on masters? Why? How should I negotiate that? What's my brand equity to negotiate that and stuff? So it's a very interesting time, I know. And what do you call it? Season. So now for those kind of negotiations, it's not a mix between management and legal.
Okay.
You know, because legally, I would give you a 2-page opinion as to why you're not entitled to get points off my masters. You know, brand wise, you give me a 2-pager as to why you are entitled to get, you know. So it's a mixture of both where that confluence has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what makes me, you know, the best, because I have the experience of both. So you guys, I'm sorry, you know, I'm not even sorry. Before I used to be very humble. I'm like, fuck that. I'm Kanye right now, so I'm gonna be talking my shit.
Go on.
Thank you very much.
So where does the BMIs and the ASCAPs and whatever is the equivalent of those bodies in Nigeria, why are they useful? Why do you still have to register with them? Without registering with them, is your split arrangement useless?
Yeah, so the equivalent of what we have here is COSON and MCSN. So according to the law, you or MCSN. There's a bit of problem there. But so what do you call it? These are bodies that help you to collect, you know, your rights, your royalties from places you cannot collect, okay, right? So according to the law here, you have the absolute right to join any society that you feel is functional to you. And you also have the right to keep your rights to yourself. You know, and maybe appoint your lawyer or somebody to help you go collect it, which is tedious because you can't go to 700 stations, you know, 700, 5,000 clubs in the whole country to collect, which is why we have these bodies that do those collective things, you know, and help you to collect those monies. We've had almost a decade-long, you know, problem with our collecting society, not just Nigeria, all over Africa. South Africa is still the only one that manages to have a bit of a handle on it. Not complete handle, as they make it seem like, you know, holier than thou. I love them there, but you know, you guys are equally facing the same struggle that we are facing. So please, let's not act like that only. But the thing is, one person, people have to come together to do the hard work, you know, the grit work.
Yeah. And
which is what many of us are doing on the background, you know, trying to come together to see what is the solution we can find. Because I say it's like the way everybody's building in Nigeria, and you take your money and go and buy a house in California and Texas, and Hurricane Tatiana happens in America, your house in Texas is gone, and when you come back to Nigeria, you don't have any house. It's kind of like the same thing that's gonna happen. So I'm one of those people that believe that, you know, God has blessed Africa so much that we don't have natural disasters. We don't. I feel like we're already in the end time, but in future years, a lot of people are gonna come back. You know, both Africans, both non-Africans, to come and settle here because we have the space for proper living.
Yeah.
You know, for proper food. And it's already happening because you hear reports that there's famine and there's drought in America and stuff. So they're beginning to look to us to help them to fill that space. But I don't think the only cost we have is the leaders. And I don't think our leaders have, you know, understood the fact that we're going to be the saving grace for the world in the end time, which is very frustrating and annoying, which was one of the things for me why I used to tell my friend I'm not leaving Nigeria because we are the future. And I still strongly believe that. I just pray that people have so much sense to vote who you need to vote for. That for me is how I see. So when I see all our biggest acts, you know, nobody's paying attention here to build the structure here. And it's unfortunate because I'm a lawyer. I don't own IP. I don't create IP. I can only push. There's a limitation to my push. You know, if Dibanj and I stand here and I'm talking to the head of Nexim Bank, they'll listen to Dibanj. Even though maybe what he's saying doesn't make half the sense of what I'm saying. But who the fuck am I? You know, I'm just like, oh, you're a lawyer. But Dibanj is the person that will stand and like 5,000 people are listening to him. So that's where the synergy has to work with, you know, the business people and the artists.
Yeah.
So, back to your question, because I've veered off completely. Back to the question. When you sign your split sheets, it's important that you get a publisher. You can either go with self-publishing, which is a whole lot of work. So if you're a creative person that doesn't like admin work, I would advise that you find an independent publisher to work with.
Okay.
But most of you will just be looking for advance. Nobody's going to give you advance when when the mathematics is not right.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to give you an advance. So just
wake up.
Yeah. So I usually tell people just protect yourself because you really don't know the lights that will spark. Right. So the split has to be registered with now let me give you a sharp. So in Nigeria, COSON does everything. They can collect your digital mechanical rights, they can collect your performance right, broadcast rights and everything because the law allows for us to do that. In the UK, you would have to register with PRS, PPL, MCPCS, and one other one, I think. In the US, you have to do BMI, RFox, Sound Exchange, I think one more. So,
ASCAP.
but no, ASCAP is the same as BMI.
Okay.
So, now the problem with our people is that you just register with BMI and think you're done. Or you just register with PRS and you think you're done. But when you get a publisher, you know, like what we do for you, like what I'll do for you as your lawyer is I'll now help you do all that registration. And so if it's $20 from here, if it's $30, I mean, I have artists that they make $3, $4, and I'm very excited because I know that if once money begins to show, it means that this product is viable.
Yes.
You know, and that's the beauty of it. So we keep pushing and say, okay, let's see if we can do a UK promo and see if we can get on. There are strategies to this thing, you know. So that's kind of, so if you just have a split, you know, arrangement before, it used to be, I think there used to be like 5 to 7 years where if they can't find you in the system, they just leave the money there. Now with the Music Modernization Act that was passed, I think last year in the US, if you don't come and collect your money in the next 2 years, it goes to Drake and Beyonce.
No time.
The black box gets shared with the biggest people in the industry. So you've lost. So now, more than ever, you know, you need to sort out your publishing properly. And I call your publishing your pension money. You know, if you have a, let me say, for example, for someone like an Omale, just rough example, you know, you can, Omale right now can just be like, okay, with all the calculations, surface calculations, and just like, can be easily doing 100K a year. You know, between 50 to 100K a year, not naira. In a year, in terms of like just publishing on the back end, if it's properly managed. You know, and these monies are trickles. there are trickles in like 5-6 different places where one person has to sit down and manage it, and this is, like I said, on the surface, so if you have, I think for an artist, if you started doing anything entering like 10,000 streams on Apple and Spotify paying platforms, you should be very concerned about your publishing. Because you started making some form of money here and there. So you need to be on that. So just because you have a split sheet where you fought with the artist and their label to sign and you don't register it, who are you?
Whoa. In the course of our discussion so far, we have talked about Kosan, and even just now you mentioned Kosan again. I might be wrong, but I find that they have lost a lot of respect amongst the creatives, and there's still a lot of teaching around copyright and licensing and publishing that one would think they would be at the forefront of. What do you think Kosan can do to win back the confidence and the respect of the artists? Like, a lot of people just carry on their business and they literally do not think of Kosan for any reason.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've noticed this as well.
And this unfortunately is, I personally feel like it's just a PR problem. Like, I also tell them when I have conversations with them, I said, you guys if you go to Kosan today and you want your statement, they will bring out your statement for you down to the letter.
Nice.
Because I go there every day for all my clients that are there to do, they'll tell me, okay, give us 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and they'll pull out your statement for you. So there's accountability. However, maybe people now in this age, there's more requirement for transparency than just accountability. Transparency is I show you whether you ask me or not. Accountable is I show you when I ask you. So and there's also a lot of legal battles going on, which is expected to go on because you're dealing with people's money, and you're dealing with a collective, of people. So there's a lot of back and forth. Also, Kosan also has earned bad rep for doing what they are supposed to do from places like your radio stations that refuse to pay, and I know for the longest time, like, right now they're I think right now, I don't know right now, but I know that there was a time where they sued every radio station in the country because they refused to pay. And the radio stations will send the artist notice that sign that you are not a member of Kosan. Renounce Kosan. So that also played a huge part, and because the artist didn't understand that if you're signing that, you're literally saying the radio can play the music for free.
Exactly.
Which they are not supposed to do.
Because they make money off of.
They make money off it. Let me tell you. So there's this thing. I think September 1st they do No Music Day. So they call some of us to go and speak.
Yeah.
So I was at this radio station. I'll not mention the name. For the come and carry me. I was at this radio station and we're talking, and the thing was for an hour. You're not supposed to play music, just talk. And the radio host specifically said, "We're going for music break." I said, "But what else?" He said, he said, "No, that our listeners don't know how to stay with us." I said, "So you agree that music is
indeed very
then
important."
she now goes. I said, instead of saying yes, then she goes, insulting Kosan. And I said, "Please, have you people paid your license for this year?" They've not paid. So I say you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem as to why artists are hungry. Because if an artist is just having rotation in, say, Ogun State, Osun State, and this thing, you should be able to reasonably be making, say, 300K a year. 300K can pay your rent in Ogun State.
Yeah.
So why do you understand? And up until 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, when the Kosan go into this long battle, Kosan was paying money every year to during the annual general meeting. They will pay money every year to all their members. Now the fight was, why is this money so low? Because you can get as low as 15K per person, or 20K or 25K. Now why is that? And it's just that's why sometimes I feel like it's either we refuse to think, or someone is just following all of us collectively from our village because you say as a whether and these things are in the statements that Koson, if you go for the AGM, they'll print a whole statement showing you the accounts for the year. So you see how much radio stations are paying or that has been agreed to pay. One radio station, is paying very flimsy money, not maybe even up to 6 figures for use of music in a year. And that's because there was no support from the creative people and the government and whatever. Because Koso also needs them to play music so that they can pay them. So it's like a give and take fight, right? So there's a low balling where they now say, okay, this is where the number, this is the number we can do. Now that number, Koso right now has I think about 4,000 members. So let's say you say they make about 50 million naira a year from radio stations. Because also radio stations have refused, which is also a fight that we've had for the longest time, to give logs as to how they pay music. Koson is forced to now say, okay, let's share it with everybody. Let's share with everybody a specific amount, so they call it general distribution. Then the specific distribution will now go to artists that we have some form of data for that we can pay. So that will now amount to now say 4,000 people divided by 50 million will give you. So these things they are ripple effects of different things. So when people, it just annoys, and the only reason I know this is because one year I was just very upset, of hearing gist from one faction to another faction, and I went to all these individuals and I started having conversations with everybody and I gathered So when people say, I know how Koson works so much, I say, I have clients there and I have to do the work and I talk to them on a daily. Same with MCNSM, and we have these conversations every day. So I have almost a 360 view of what's going on, and probably a solution to it. Maybe, maybe not. We're working on that to see if that will work. But I'm saying all these things for everybody listening to understand that the artist is the most important person that has a role to play. In this fight for collecting management. If a radio station says they're not going to play your music, I said there was this MTN fight. I don't know if you remember the CRBT fight. I used to work with a CRBT company. In a bad month, those Indians were making 70 million naira.
Wow.
And they will still owe the content aggregator that gave them content to pay out. And when they are paying, they pay out less than 10% to the content aggregator to pay for content that is used to make the 70 million in a bad month. So there was that disparity, right? And people started clamoring, and Justin Ige, I think it was for Koson. So Koson actually sued MTN for almost, I think it was at that point it was the biggest copyright case, about 16 billion naira. Right, for use of music for a couple of years and everything. And there was back and forth, there was argument on the law, blah, blah, blah. You know what? At that point, I think it was called, what was that MTN thing it was called? Is it called? It was CRBT sharp. There was then that CRBT was booming then, and so what they were doing, they would pay some artists, some amount of money that they had to be like, I didn't know that this money. Then they now send, when Koson came with that lawsuit, they now sent to all the. I was representing about 5 artists. 5 of them sent me the agreement and said they wanted to sign, and the agreement said, say that you don't know who Koson is, Koson should not be collecting your money, and that you've given those people the right to
Music
distribute.
Plus.
Yes, to use your music and everything. And I told my clients that you can't sign it too. I said, because they are fighting for you. And if you sign this thing, first of all, it's very wrong position of the law, because what they are asking for is different from what they are sending to you. It was a publishing fight. They were just some long legal thing. But they went back and forth, and we finally settled on something, Now, but if every artist, some artists signed, some artists came out publicly, rejected Koson and say that Koson is a scam, and this thing. And in my mind, I'm just like, is it that you people are dumb? But that fight led to every other digital platform that came into the industry recognized that they had to pay those royalties.
Yes.
Whether they are paying it to Coson or they are paying it to Capasso or they are paying it to anybody, they had to pay that royalties because somebody somewhere is sitting down waiting them to mess up so that we can collect our 2K breakfast from there. So, and that's the effect of people doing what they're supposed to do. You know, so like I said, this collecting management fight all over Africa is a creative fight, and I think it's Godwin Tom was trying to organize something then to just educate. I think he's doing it now through his academy, but it's mostly for the executive to educate. I think what we settled on was that these creative people have refused to be educated. So let's educate the managers so that the managers can be speaking to their artists and their creative, people. Just like the way kind of that's the approach we did for the split sheet and publishing for producers, because we have direct contact with the producers. It's easy for me every day to be telling them don't do this. Even though I explain it 100 times, they still don't get it, but they have an idea what I'm talking about. So if I tell them don't sign this, it's easy for them to say, oh, I'm not going to sign it, because they trust that Foza is saying what she knows. So yeah, I just feel like I just said SEO stuff.
Nah, it's good. It needed to be cleared out, So too many times I've noticed I've heard folks say that contracts are unenforceable in this country. Is this really the case? Are we now better off going to swear by Amadioha to seal agreements?
I saw some place in Ghana that the guy put machete on the Actually, it was very true. I asked my Ghanaian friend and she was like, yeah. Like literally they put like the machete on this thing, because I don't think people fear God enough. God, I love you, but like you're slow to anger. So it's unfortunate that our judiciary, in terms of IP, our judiciary in general, is exactly that's what it is.
I know.
Our judiciary, we as the Nigerian Bar Association and the judiciary and everything, we have a lot of work to do in general to ensure that justice delayed, that equity phrase that we say justice delayed is justice denied, we need to speed that up. Lagos State has been incredible, under Fashola's era, tried to, renovate the courts, to make more courts available, to establish, special courts. So for domestic violence cases, you go to family court straight and it's kind of expedited than every other, case. There's one for labor law and stuff. So when Banky W was running for House of Rep, one of the things that made me, because I was very active in the campaign, was because this was someone that has made money from IP and understood the rigors and the problems of IP. So I wanted him to get in so that we could sit down, with the industry and formulate, when we say what do we need from the government, those are the things we need from the government, nudging, pushing, and the legislature is the easiest way for us to get a lot of things, because a lot of laws have to be passed and has to be properly working. So right now, timeline to get justice from the court is usually very long. It's not just IP matters or entertainment law matters. It's just general. But enforceable, it depends on how the contract is drafted. Over the years, I've learned that there are ways to draft your contract to be able to get justice quicker. So a lot of us adopt mediation processes, arbitration processes, even though arbitration now is beginning to look like what we're trying to avoid from the court, but there are ways around to how we draft the contract to get, I just want to say 100% that there's no contract I've drafted that the person not enforced. So should, in case you want to leave, you can leave. I have no problem with you leaving, but there are terms for you to leave. So all my investments into the industry, I've made my money back. It might not be the percentage I projected, but I've made my capital back. And it's really, I think now for what I try to, over the years, what I try to educate my clients on, whether it's the investor or the artist, is to understand the spirit of the contract. So when people don't understand the spirit of the contract, that's where you have a lot of issues going on. And the easiest way to conflict resolution is understanding the spirit of the conflict, right? And that's what now helps us as lawyers to now say, this is the solution. to the approach to take, this is the approach not to take, and
Yeah.
whatnot. And there are some cases that just need to go to court for precedent's sake, so that we can say, you see what happened to that person. This is what's going to happen to you and stuff.
Yeah.
So contracts are enforceable. It's just we just have to find creative ways. Whilst we, the lawyers in, on the other end are trying to look for ways to create special courts for IP, on the practical end of things, because I'm not a litigator, so I leave that to the litigator people. They just come to consult us, on stuff. We have found business practicable ways to enforce contracts, generally. So I would say 60%, success rates, doing that. It's kind of like why a lot of, I was speaking to one of the big threes when they were trying to come into the market, and I was very upfront with them, and I said, this is a jungle. You cannot apply what is happening in your developed society and expect it to. So you have to be creative in finding, how to survive in this industry. Basically, it.
Nice. So, in your experience over the years, of course, you've been involved in a few of these label artist disputes. So what would you say is the most common issue that you have found to be at the center of most of these
Ignoramus.
disputes?
Ignoramus. It's just basic ignorance and a lot of ego. Unnecessary ego. And that's because, like I always say, if you've listened to a lot of my interviews, I will always tell you straight up, this industry was founded on money laundering, 419 money, Yahoo boys. So when the money comes in, nobody cares for accountability. Everybody just wants to ball and have a lifestyle. So it was just until 2-3 years ago that we started doing business. And business, what is business? Business is I put money in, I expect money out.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing that, it means that I have to show you an expense sheet. I have to show you money. I have to make a case for why I'm spending this money and whatnot. But a lot of the issues that happen and a lot of the fights that happen is really about ego. And that ego now translates and is now marked under, oh, you didn't respect the contract, you breached the contract. Shut up. You're just upset that one person's ego is bruised. And as it is everywhere in the world, even if you check, like, once an artist is unhappy, the label's first reaction is, okay, how do we mitigate that unhappiness within reasonable context?
Yes.
Right? So you see that rants that Kanye West went on, they're not burning well. Because I'm sure in his back end, you have seen that. Because look at it this way. You can't be doing that listening 3 times. Who is going to pay? Is he the one paying for it? He's not the one paying for it. So he can come out and shout on Twitter as much as he wants to shout and say, the label is this, the label is that. But when they were giving you $3 million to record one album. So if I put, this industry frustrated me so much, I started farming. And and I put my money in farm. 6 months later, when the first check came in, I said, hey, Jesus, is this what investment feels like? Return on investment feels like. But I've invested in music now for like 3-4 years. Because I'm a music person, I'm a music executive, I know it's a long-term investment. Right? It's like I wouldn't call it fixed deposit, because fixed deposit, every year you get 1% music. You just get heartbreak until one day it hits. So, but like, so when an artist comes and I see it play out, know, when if my artist comes to me and says, oh, Foza, I want to leave the contract, I'm not going to be upset. Why will I be upset? Because there are 2 things. Either my capacity as a label or whatever I'm providing, as we've gotten to a stage where I can't do that anymore. So the question now will be, I'll ask you and say, okay, how do you want us to move forward? Do you want to completely go, or do you want us to come in, to reduce the power that we have so that another person can take that, and move forward? Which is how I feel every right-thinking person should be thinking, right? Because if you want to go global, there's no way an independent label is going to help you to go global. However, the independent label can move to being a management company for you, because they understand the growth and work with the global team, which is how every company in the world works. When they see that they're coming to another country, they see, oh, they can't do this, they share the power with other people. But because first of all, in Nigeria, we have a lot of people don't have the sense of succession as a business. Everything is one man. And thirdly, because you've scammed somebody to make the money, or you are collecting money from one babalaye that's giving you like 200 million, giving someone 30 million to do something, you're really more concerned about the flash and whether the artist is blowing than the business of the artist.
Yes.
So when you are now broke, you're not come back to say, hey, so is there any money coming from here? But you've not done the work to secure that this thing.
You didn't lay down the framework.
So really, that's what I feel like has been the biggest issue. Like let's make it make sense. We've seen artists leaving labels, and we've seen that they didn't fight. Because you see the people at the end of affairs and you know that they run a business. E.g., Simi and Extreme. They didn't need to fight for them to leave. We've seen Ricardo and Maven. You've seen Tiwa and Maven. Did you see them fighting? There was no fight. I'm sure behind closed door, maybe their lawyer said, you're a fucker, you're mad, you're crazy, you're this. But like on the outside, everybody has settled the bills, accounts for settlement, everybody's good. Yeah. So even if you're owing money, you said, okay, I'll leave my master's here for like maybe 10 years, or my own share, use it to recover by whatever, and by the time that's recovered, but let me tell you the fight that is going to happen in the next, by 2025, the type of lawsuit you start seeing. This label that I left 10 years ago, they've not given my royalties after making their money back. It's going to be so interesting. I'm going to be at the forefront. It's going to be so interesting.
Of course. When things like that happen, experience has shown that the public often side with
the artists. Because it's emotional. Because like I said at the beginning, art is emotional. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So they're more connected. See, artists I see at this point, I feel like we've got to the fact that an artist will kill somebody and they will still be like, but that person upsets the artist now. Why would you upset the artist? You know that, like, you see, Kanye is his prime example. There's nothing Kanye would ever do. Did they all cancel Kanye? How many of them are struggling to get into Donda listening party? So it's like art is emotional, and that's what we human beings are. We always make excuses for the people or the things that we really, really love. R. Kelly, for example. I've gone to parties where they start playing R. Kelly music. All the girls, around me will go like 20 seconds of dancing. They'll be like, oh, that's R. Kelly. Then you sit down. But you just sit there.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, I know, right? Like you're like that guy is a child molester, but like because it's art, and you can't. That's the subjective part of it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like the public, you people stress me sometimes. But then again, I don't really because it's our job to educate the public as an industry on how things are done. But now that we have a lot of fan investment vehicles coming up. Yeah, you too, don't worry. You start. You too. Emma serve in breakfast. But breakfast. All of us will chop this breakfast. So in case you invest your money there and the artist decides one day to wake up and he wants to leave, then let's see if you side. Your 100K there in the artist's album. Say all of you are buying NFT music now. Okay.
Okay, so you're also very, very much into management. So I can't recall when last, if at all, I heard a manager suing an artist for some kind of compensation. Is it possible for a manager to successfully sue an artist for terminating their working relationship and win compensation?
Oh, yes. Well, the contracts I sign, yes. I draft, yeah. Definitely. 100%. But most of the time, because of artist management is very personal. Most times you are, and that's why it's even worldwide, it's not an easily that's the part of music business that is not scalable, if you notice. Because for me to blow an artist, I will know your father, your mother, your grandparents, at one point they will call me, they pray for me. At one point they will call me, they curse me. That's how invested you are, because the product is coming from a person.
Yes.
And that person at every point in time, the well-being of that person is usually your number one priority. To get the best product out of the person. So it's such a personal business that when things like that happen, most people just look at it and you're just like, man, last this guy is my brother, or last this boy is my son, or in some cases, last I don't fuck this person. So I can't go down all 9 yards. But I've seen with many of the cases, a lot of artists owe managers so much. And it's even more interesting because managers don't, which is what I do for a lot of my younger, and when I spoke at Godwin's last listening, I told them, I said, we're too used to not writing, not accounting what we really do most of the time. So that's why an artist will wake up and say, what have you done for my career? Do you understand? So it's like all the phone calls I make. See, the first time I signed international management deals for one of my clients, that guy, he used to do us anyhow, just be doing us anyhow. When that manager, scored the first deal, which was I think about £10,000, the money that got to our client, and that clause, we kept arguing it, and I said I can't allow this clause which was monies will be paid after expenses have been sorted. I kept arguing that this clause cannot stay in this contract. This clause cannot stay in this contract. The manager said, is this or not? My guy, because it's international, and I was like, no, you people want to fuck up my career. I don't want to. Okay, sign. When the first check came, the manager first took like £3,000 first, and they now shared the £7,000. He now came, was now whining. I said, why the fuck are you whining? This is what you signed. And when we now requested that you should give account of the £3,000, it was full there. Data, telephone call, dinner with this person, dinner with that person, dinner with this person. Because as a manager, you do all that. You go to the club. You're buying drinks for someone because you need to be cool with this person. You're buying perfume from someone that you should not be talking to in this life.
Oh
you're having long WhatsApp calls. All these things should be. But here in Nigeria, we do it as a lifestyle.
We don't document
it, because we're just like, it's all good. So if we check it really, artists, the people that suffer, and that's why I'm so happy for what Godwin is doing, because now managers are so woke. Before then, no, managers suffer. I think that was part of the things where I said that I can't be a full manager because I'll just die of poverty. Because God, I used to look at Osage, my mentor, Osage, Godwin. I'm just like, I can't. Man, like what's going on? Then they'll now come and wake up and tell you, what have you done for my career? See, if you don't get that line as a manager, you are not doing your work. You are not doing your work. I promise you, if you're a manager and no artist has told you what have you done for my career, at that moment, just know that you're in the wrong career profession. But if they tell you, just know that you are doing the OG work of the OG work. But so yeah, they can sue. Now we have things called sunset clauses, in management agreements. Now a lot of managers are doubling as a lot of things, because now before, managers used to, if the artist don't blow, the manager don't blow. But if someone like me is managing you, first of all, you cannot talk to me anyhow, because it's just like it's like I'm not living on your money.
Yes.
So the days I advance you money, I used to send email. Please respond. Should I go ahead give you this 100K for this thing? You send yes. I account it to your Google Sheets, which all of us are in the expense. So the day you wake up, I ask what have you done? I say, I precisely done 2 million naira worth of expense for you. If you want to leave, pay me back 2.5 million, because if I put it in my goods, I'll make 10%, 20% profit. So, So managers, if you want to be able to sue, get your accounting proper right, and document things that you do. So, for example, let me just give you an example. If I'm speaking to Obina, and I'll be cutting Obina for, let's say, 3 months to get you a spot on LS Pod to talk as an artist for the review of your album, and LS Pod is doing 12,000 listens per episode, and we do the review on this on the album on your this thing, and we get 12,000 listens. That 12,000 listens will probably, let's say, half. That's 6,000 listens on your Apple. 6,000 listens times your 0.004 per stream gives you the amount. I have quantified that value plus my 3 months of cutting. Let's say my hourly rate is at 3,000 naira per hour. I've cutted Obina for exactly 10 hours or let's say 20 hours. That's like say 600,000 plus that money. So the equivalent, what I've done is I've given you a value of approximately 1.5 million naira.
Whoa.
So in case they tell you, what have you done? You can just maybe use that approach.
So basically you're saying, I mean, these things are going to happen, but as you're doing stuff, just be
documenting.
Documenting.
And when you have your regular meetings with your artists, you tell them, because what people don't understand is for you to get one deal. I've been on a deal for like 3 years. That's not Yahoo deal. Chasing deals is an art and a skill of resilience and tenacity. Because you can't come to me, Fawehinmi Oyinkansola, aka Foza Doza, and ask me to give you 1 million naira. The questions I will ask you. Now imagine you are not going to meet someone to give you 50 million naira.
Exactly.
You have to explain to I have one client that used to tell me the path to profitability. And sometimes the path to profitability can take 2 years of explaining. And in that 2 years, the artist is going to look at you like, what exactly are you doing, for my career? So those things are the things that, so you always have to like ring it in the ears of the artist. These are the things I'm doing. Things little as EPK drafting. Your EPK, I've seen where EPK decided whether someone got a deal or not. And I know because of, my years of skill, my years of experience, I can do your EPK in 1 week. Now I do that in 1 week. So how we work in our management company is once you are onboarded, the first 4 weeks is total brand. So we're talking to brand, and we formulate the EPK. In your mind, the EPK is just a document, right? But I know what the EPK does when we go outside.
Its value.
Now, I will tell you the amount of the EPK because if you come to me as a consultant, I will bill you for that. And I'll give you the bill. So as we're saying, this month, this is what we did. We did the EPK valued at 500,000. We did this, valued at this. Down to things like I have a photographer friend that charges 100K per look. Because of our relationship, he's charging 30K per look. I'll put it there, discounted because of management privilege. So these are the things that you always... See, one of the things that we fail to understand as a country is, first of all, we don't even value service-based businesses. So even as a lawyer, people disrespect me. They just say, I got one DM. I think maybe people have heard me so much saying that don't pick my brain or someone has sent me a DM saying, I just want to constructively converse with you. That was the language the person said. Constructively converse with you on a matter. I said, wow, this is a new approach. So even as a lawyer, people don't respect, and this is also to the young lawyers out there, people don't respect when you talk. Like in this podcast, I promise you, when you finish listening to it, I've probably spoken about like 4 different things that is going to be so clear in your head that is going to make you better in like 6 months. And the only reason I'm talking is because I've known this OG for a minute. You're told me my artist music is shit. I'll be like, Obina. Then I'll be like, okay, yeah. But I'll take that, So, and the only reason I'm here is because I respect him. And that's years of value that's been built. And I respect
you too. Thank you so much.
Value that's been built. But if I'm to go to other podcasts like this, I need to charge money for talking these days. So these are the things that we always, as a community, we need to start understanding. Now, anybody that wants to talk to me, my PA will first tell you, Madam charges 100K per hour. In that minute, if you ask me 2 questions, I will answer your 2 questions. Then if you want me to go further, then I will bid you again. So it's just like, you have to create this thing of understanding that when you want to talk to certain people or when certain people are, it's just like if Osage sits down here and says, I want to project your A&R. Like, for example, if you sit down and say you want to A&R a project, you can easily call P and say, bro, I want lyric in the studio. If my PA wants lyric in the studio, you probably wait like 3 months. That's the difference.
Yes.
So when people ask you, what are you doing for me? Never ever, managers out there, lawyers out there, never ever in your life shy away from that question. Sit down, drink water, put coffee, sit down and draft a long email and do a voice note of the things that you've done. so that is on record. Because they will go outside with their bad mouth.
It's easy to forget.
Yeah, they'll go outside with their bad mouth and devalue you. And that's why I say always put things in record. I have a client that 2 years we did his catalog arrangements, we did this, we did that. That thing took almost 36 hours of my time. Doing, getting this, getting that, put the catalog in place, did evaluation for this thing.
Yeah.
And at the end of the second year, we were able to close it like $100,000 deal. Now, when this money came, this idiot now asked, because I have a certain percentage, and I'll tell you that this is before I embark on this, so this is the percentage that I'm going to get. Very reasonable percentage, in my opinion, for the work I've done. And this idiot comes and says, "What did Foza do?" Unfortunately for him, it was at the period where I was transitioning from being a soft-hearted human being, fair, just, and moral, to being a cold-shacked, blooded human being. And we had and I looked him in the eye, because this is a very relatively very big, established person. I looked him in the eye and I said, in the events where you rescind on the agreements we had, first of all, consider this is the last working relationship we had. And consider it the fact that if anybody comes to me to have a conversation about you, I'm going to tell them the kind of human being as a business person you are. And I'm not going to hide your name, in business circles, to say that you don't honor contract, you don't listen. And he thought it was a joke. So in his mind, unilateral. In fact, he now said, "Oh, no lawyer, no rich like that now. We go stupid." One day, they were just like, for the way you saw me in the office, just came with envelope and just gave me 30%, no, 80% less than what was agreed. So I looked at the money and I said, I have two options. I can literally just go to court, and sue for this. But I was just like, nah, I have other ways I'm going to use to fuck you up. So I just took the money. Literally, I'm telling you what I did. I just took the money. I just called my house. I said, "Hello, I have my rent ready. Do you want to say yes?" And I give the money out. Now, I know like 4 deals that have come to my table, and I've told them, "No, you can't give it to this guy. Give it to my other clients." And I'll call him, and I call him and I tell him, I said, "These people called for you, but I said that you're not responsible enough for this." So that people know that, like, you can't, no. We're too used to giving creatives leeway. We're too used to it. Trying to pander to their emotions, trying to pander to who they are. Fuck you. I love you guys, but fuck you. Because for one artist, 10 people, the success of one artist, 10 people's life rely on that. So you have the moral responsibility and the goddamn legal responsibility to be at your best behavior, not a total wuss or douchebag. Like, for every time you miss an interview, it's costing me like almost 500, like, let's say it's costing me almost 70K in PR value. Because if my artist misses an interview with Obinna, I'll like go and look at Obinna and say that, boss, no vex. It looks poor on me. And you are devaluing me to every other person. So if I'm putting my neck on, and that's it. My artist used to, I feel one time one of my artists was going to report. No, one of my artists, someone left our management and said that we run it like military boot camp. I said, yeah, because this is a military boot camp. You have recording schedules, you have interview, you have everything scheduled. They not born you well. That your interview is 12. And it's I do leadership by example. If I'm going to be late, I would give you the courtesy, because it's courtesy. Your time is money. Your time is money. When I was leaving my house this morning, I knew that I had to leave at 11:30 to be able to get here at exactly 12. I wanted to have breakfast. I was like, if I have breakfast, I'm going to. And that was because I overslept a bit. So I missed my breakfast. But I had to honor this agreement because I had 12 to 2. And that's because by 2, I have to leave here by 2:15 so that I can. So it's like, everybody, don't do that. Don't do that to people. It's very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. Not honoring. It's not even just contract. Just like creative people out there. And we're entering a world where there are 10. Let's see, for every one artist, there are 50 of you that can do the same thing. So you're easily dispensable. There's only one unique thing, and that unique thing, unfortunately, can be created in someone else. In fact, it's even now so bad that we have robots that can do the singing now.
I'm telling you.
So, all your paparazzi, it ain't there. So don't think that you are not replaceable. It was before that will say, there's only one Two-Face. For everyone when they go, there are millions of fireboys and oxlade. So don't think that you are indispensable. So if you don't build your soft skills, you're going to have so much. You're not going to last more than 5 years. There are artists that we know now that they are very good, very good, very good. We have a conversation about them. And people say, why is this person? Because you fucked up everything in the media. You fucked up everybody in the media. Media people are human beings that have feelings.
Yeah.
You know, you don't show up for someone's program and it's 30 minutes into the person's program and I say, oh, sorry, I can't make it.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous because in that 30 minutes, that person has had to come up with an entirely new schedule and everything to figure shit out. And maybe they've paid for this. Maybe say you rented this place and this thing, you've wasted that money and stuff. Fuck you. And before we'll say, no, like, and when you do things like that, when you miss things like that, you go back apologizing. And the way you don't apologize with your mouth. You know, if I know that you're an independent podcaster, that let's say you probably rented this place and everything, I will come with an apology of a gift basket and money. I'm saying say 20k or 30k, saying please, I know that, you know, just use this, you know, because I know that you actually paid to do all these things. So that even if I give you 10k or 15k, you give Chinedu 2k, give this person 2k, you've sorted prefer. You in your mind be like, yeah, you're a stupid boy, but you've done well. You know, there's only one artist in this life that's come that one day just came to the office and was like, oh, and gave the whole office, like dropped 500,000 cash. I was like, please share it to everybody in the office because I know that it's only you and the other, you know, associate that I interact with. But I know that there's a whole army working for my case. So, and people were like, please share it for the office. I'm giving you your own separate money. Because I actually gave the other partner separate money. But that 500k, I said we're sharing the money. When I shared like 10k around the office, all my staff were like, thank you. They're sitting at the artist, thank you. We work with this office, thank you. She didn't need to do that. She didn't have any reason to do that. She was just like, that's someone that appreciates. Now, they're not born you. If I hear things like this, what are you doing to that artist? You know, and it's the regular contract she has with like every other person, but you have gone the extra mile to just show appreciation.
There's something that happened some time ago, and I know you're very close to all of that. How did the copy and this amazing new kid on the block, P Prime.
It's at this point that I say that I have a legal caveat for not saying anything about that case.
It's okay. It's fine.
But I wasn't directly involved with that.
Oh,
but
okay,
my firm, you know,
okay.
directly involved. People
Okay.
always feel like I've actively stopped being in the forefront of a lot of legal matters,
Okay.
like almost 2 years now.
Nice.
You know, so it's just you just see a lot of my people working and just assume it's me, which is a good thing. It's a good thing for succession. I'm proud of you people. TP, I'm proud of you guys. You know, so but that was an interesting situation. But everybody came out of there happy, stronger, and more connected. But it was,
lovely.
I think it was a case of just people understanding.
And everybody learned something that they didn't know
Yeah.
before. Like,
You know, yeah. So like it was a case of learning and, you know, just knowing that everybody deserves to be respected.
Nice,
You know,
nice.
and stuff.
So songwriters, are we ever going to see a day where songwriting becomes respected, seen to be important, seen to be needed, where artists can go out of their way to say, yeah, this session, I'm going to have this session, but I'm not going to have this session until I have my writers. And is there a bright future for songwriting and songwriters?
Yes, there is. And that specifically is going to be the job of the publishing companies the local publishing companies. It's a PR perception problem, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm trying to work on is because we have our own independent publishing company that we've set up, and we're trying to incorporate a few things here and there just to show people like it, you know, how things should be done. You know, I have people that work with us that say, Foza, I have artists that I've worked with that they are fantastic writers, fantastic vocalists, but they don't have the equipment to be an artist. Because being an artist is a different skill set on its own. And I've struggled with those artists to bring them to this thing, but it's not just them. They would prefer to just sing the music, see it do well, and go and be doing farming on the back end and something that is paying them. And it's absolutely fine, So I feel like it's a lot of the work that the publishing companies have to do. I mean, some of us have different strategies. We feel that will happen, and one of the things is I think exposing and showing those successful songwriters that we have, making them tell their stories, and making it appealing. And one of the songwriters that we're working with to create that kind of story is Mologo. Mologo has written for like amazing people.
Everybody.
And I was speaking to him the other day. I was like, Mo, we need to tell yours because it is sin shit. This fight that, people like, he's fought the fight of, you have to give me what is due to me. You would give me, I don't care how big you are. I've given you a record that is amazing and you will pay me for it. And I will get my royalties for it, right? So I'm like, we need to talk about this fight. We need to talk about the struggle. We need to talk about how you've progressed to the extent where you are comfortable enough to say, okay, I'll write 3 songs a year or 4 songs a year, and I'm good. I can pay my bills and stuff, So I think maybe by the end of next year, when we come out with that story, people can understand and be like, okay, it's cool enough. For me to just be a songwriter and so and it's going to be a series kind of thing where I show you different types of songwriters, because Mo is a type of songwriter that is also an artist. You have songwriters like, I think, only Clem, that is just a songwriter. You have different people like that. There is songwriter, producer. So those stories, when we put it together and show people that it's okay.
It's possible.
It's possible and it's okay.
Awesome.
I mean, the legal side and the business side is sorted out now.
Okay.
Split sheets are being signed, publishers are working and stuff, but it's just innovation.
Awesome.
On
Great.
how to make that happen.
You talked about your publishing firm and all of that. Congratulations on that. I hear now we're in the AR building, so we can go to Maven, we can go to all these other people. But I've noticed that we do not have as much publishing companies, even if they're small. So isn't that like a gap between where we are now and where we're trying to get to?
So that is principally because there's a small glitch in the law. There's a small glitch in our law that doesn't necessarily allow, for publishing or publishers. Only very technical lawyers understand that. So most people are very there's a circumvention that we do around that to make sure that we're still within the confines of the law. Also, publishing is very technical. Now, as when we first, I think I co-founded Greenlight Music Publishing. That has most of the producers, and we're focused on producers, right? And that was interesting in educating me on what the possible issues could be. So I think now people are beginning to understand the problems around publishing and how to go about it. So in the next 3 to 4 years, because now publishing is the buzzword, so trust my country, in the next 3 to 4 years, you're going to see more publishing companies. The people are beginning to have the financial muscles to get the technical, because it's a lot of accounting to be done. And a lot of data analysis and data sorting to be done, apart from the creative side of it. So it took us like a year to figure out our data sorting process and our technical process. So now we're done and we're now into the creative process, right? And I'm very big on collaboration. So it's in the near future, I think I've broached the topic with PD that, we're going to have like cross-pollination of publishing companies coming to work together to produce something and stuff. It's not, I tell people, and different publishers are going to have different focal points. Some people are going to focus on the established artists, some people are going to focus on, I'm focusing strictly on the independent artists, right? So if I hear something and I feel like, this guy has, something that I can work with, I bring you in. So whether you're making money or not, we are working with people from the scratch up, right? There are some other publishers that, because they have financial obligations, they can't work with new artists. So there's space for people like us to develop these people. And now, when we now get to an AR and say, see, we've done 3 years of work on this person. It's tidy, this is that. Upscale them to that and let them. So that understanding is what people need to come to. And because we're still very warped in the way we think as a business in this country, publishing is so technical. It's not like a record label. It's so technical. It's so deep and technical. So whoever is at the forefront has to have like sufficient knowledge. Like right now, I have like 4 people in training, and they're going to be in training for like 3 years. And the kind of work they are doing, sometimes they just wake up and look at me and just eye me or whatever. Because it's literally data sorting, metadata matching, and all that kind of many stuff. Because if the metadata is not right, we are losing money. So those are the things that, I feel like people, maybe after 6 sets of Godwin's music business class, we'll see more publishing companies set up.
Hopefully.
But now a lot of the foreign guys are coming in to set up, but they're not going to be as successful because they don't want to do the groundwork.
Groundwork. Man, we have taken so much of your time, but I have 2 more questions for you. I love sampling. I enjoy sampling, especially through the masterful way people like Kanye West and all these other people have deployed it. And I'm of the opinion that African music or indigenous Nigerian music has indeed offered us so much of those musical resource that people can sample into their records, from hip-hop producers to all that stuff. So if, for example, I sample one old guy's stuff, do I just what then happens? Who do I talk to? And the side B of this question now is these old labels like Premier Music, Ivory Music, why have they not closed their shop? Like when you pass their office, you see their logo there. What do they do now in 2021?
Very, very interesting question. So first of all, you want to do any sample from now to say 1970, talk to me.
Hey, the energy.
Talk to me. So because that's kind of like for 2 years. So my company is called Digital Music Commerce and Exchange Limited. So what we do is we're principally focused on, I saw this problem like 2 years ago, and we wanted to solve that problem. And which is kind of what spiraled into setting up the publishing company and doing that. So for example, now if you want to sample anything that has to do with Dagrin's music, Dagrin's name, if I don't sign the paper, I will come for you. Just putting it out there. If you're listening to LS Pod and you try to sample Dagrin and don't talk to Foza, you're in trouble. So what we've done, or what we do, is we do IP management, administration, and exploitation.
Nice.
So we work with a lot of old labels and help them navigate the digital world. So I don't know if you heard the Coldplay's last album. There was a record from 1970 something called Accord White that they sampled in Everyday Life, and I've forgotten the other song. We did the clearance, and that was from Tabansi Records. So we represent a couple of them like that and helping them.
Tabansi Records, they are still breathing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an interesting catalog. And we also represent clients like the so we work a lot with the government, because a lot of them, when they die, they don't write wills. So artists out there, please, your IP is property. You need to write your wills so that we know who you transfer it to. For someone like Dagrin, he died without a will, so it took us 2 years to get like the letter of admin. So when all those times on Twitter when people say, "Oh, Dagrin's not making money," was because we couldn't do anything because there was no proper authority. But right now we have the authority of Lagos State to deal with Dagrin's property, which is that album. That's why anything you have to talk, because we are the only ones that have the exclusive,
Nice.
Authority to do that. And when we got that, shout out to Lola had to do like 2 years of arguing with the probate registry, trying to prove that intellectual property is property. And the law didn't recognize that, so we had to find a clever way, around the law to make it onto the. And the day it passed, they were just like, "This is the most brilliant thing that the perpetrators were like. This is very brilliant," And so that now led us to saying, there are a lot of artists that have died interstate, So then we went to Ogun State, Aruna Ishola's catalog. We managed that. Barrister Ayesikwe, Barrister Ayinde. So a lot of the old guys, indigenous music, Fuji, gospel guys and such. Now that has now led us to something we're doing, which is creating sample packs, from these records. So there's a platform called Amplify Orb. We recently did a partnership with a company called Airbeat, from the US, where as an artist you can go there and buy beats for as low as 5,000 naira, all the way to 2 million naira, But also on that, as a producer, you come there to sell. It's a marketplace for producers to sell their music. There's the all contracts are there. You do, whatever. But the next step or the next phase for us is we're currently in the middle of doing all the clearance for sample pack licensing. So you can take an action film, for example, and have you can have Brimo's voice, you can have MI's voice, you can have a loop from that, because we've done all that clearance.
Yeah.
I will set a value to. So you can go on the website and say, "Oh, I have 50,000 naira and I want to sample this thing," and the thing will respond back and tell you, "No, your money can't afford this, but you have another option to do that."
Yeah, you can take this.
So I mean now that's creating for that. And so I'm really excited about Amplify Hub and what it's going to do. So, now you don't announce anything again in tech because CBN can come and ruin your career. So it's but check out Amplify Hub. We're still very open to, corrections and stuff. In lieu of that, also for older catalog, we're also there's a game app that we're doing where, we're matching old songs and, and thing where you can play a game to do the matching, and stuff. So these are the ways that we're looking to involve the older catalog. And in the last 12 months, I've done about 7 to 8 Netflix clearance of old music, of older music for clear. And anytime they come to us, they are trying to trace. I just tell them, just pay me my money, I help you look for it. There's no music in this world, in this Nigeria. If you are looking for it, there's a man that works with me. His name is Ezekiel. Ezekiel is the best clearance manager in this country, hands down. Don't just go and poach him. So
shout out to Ezekiel. You're doing
very amazing
important work.
So it's we trace the origin of title, and the reason why we're very detailed about it is because we understand the way title changes, the ownership changes. It's not easy job. You can't just sit down and say, "Oh, Premier Music owns the master's right," or "This person owns the publishing," because you also have to understand the contracts that were signed in that era. You have to understand the transfer. There's some songs that have done 50 years and, according to the law, reverse back to the author. So those complications are the things that we understand. So you just pay us. So for example, like the Budweiser project, we worked on the Budweiser project and did all the clearance.
Those covers.
Yeah, so
interesting.
we did all that clearance with the older guys, and navigated that space. It was a very interesting project, and I hope that we continue this kind of project because it's very necessary.
Well done.
Now, we're working on an album for, I think we'll commission about 2 albums from Dagreen's, current catalog.
Okay.
We've commissioned like 2, looking to release before the end of the year. So if you're interested in working anything with Dagreen's album, you can always reach out. We're quite flexible now. If I receive one money, the value has gone up. I'm not going to give you at this day. So basically that question, we're going to we are solving the problem already.
Okay.
So that one is not. And Premier Ivory, and the funny thing, Premier Ivory and these guys, because they had so much foreign influence, there was structure, and that structure is still available to them. So it's easy for them to just automate and be. So they might not be doing the same level of work that the current labels are doing, but there's a structure that is just flowing. So whether one person dies or there's a structure that works. So that's why they're still there.
Wow. Interesting. Wow. Thank you so much for that. Because man, I know someone like Alpha. Alpha really like old high life Igbo high life music.
Universal call me.
No, not Alpha Alpha Ogini.
Okay. No, but Alpha, you have my email.
So like I mean I'm sure at some point he wants to sample Oliver the Coco, Sadebe, all this, and there are plenty other people like that, and we have amazing music made by these guys. So down to my last question. What is a hill that you're willing to die on as regards the Nigerian music industry?
That's such a huge question. Let me see. That you can be a fair person and still be. You can be a fair person. No, wait. I have to rephrase that. See. Zila. That you can. The ill I'm willing to die on is that you can be a fair person and everybody can eat according to how they work in the industry. Right now, what we have is a lot of sharks, fraudulent people at the ends of the most powerful ends of affair. It breaks my heart. It makes me so sad. You get like 50 million for a project. You're giving the artist 10 million, and you expect the artist to do the team to do the work of 50 million because you've taken 40 million of it. And it's across board, from the creative to the corporate industry, and stuff in the industry itself. So I believe people still call me naive, that I can be a fair and upright person in Nigeria, as a whole. But like I always tell people, I like my sleep. I don't think in my 10 years of working anybody can come and point. The last person that tried to do it, I dealt with him, properly, because you don't mess with my name. And he didn't even have any fact. He was just trying to just some useless negotiation tactic, but I dealt with him. There's nobody that can come and say, "Oh, Foza stole your money." That's what makes me sleep at night. But every day the industry keeps showing me that nobody cares about names, or name is not important. It's just the short gain of it. But I know name is important. I know reputation is important, and I know that if we're a bit fairer, things will move smoothly. I don't see why you work so hard for me and I can't pay you or keep increasing the pay that you're supposed to get. But then again, you look at it and say it's also because you are scared you are going to lose the little that you have. And that's because everybody's not doing what they're supposed to do to increase the pie. Instead, they're just eating on the side of the pie that it is. So it's a whole like cyclical meal. But the hill I'm willing to die on is that once we increase the pie, it is possible for everybody to get a fair. Now, the question of what is fair is subjective and relative. I can't, we're setting up, my farming business has opened my eye also to some things. I've seen where, as founders, we're always forced to do so much dirty work.
Yeah.
That people that work with you don't see. They only just care about their salaries and stuff. The mistake I made with my former companies when setting up was that I never used to involve them in looking at seeing the debt. So I do all the dirty work. I get all the insult. I protect them from it, and just pay them the salary. And when they see that there's progression, in terms of like money and everything, they expect a salary increase because they think that their work as equated to that. Which in some cases, it might have, but the fact that I didn't tell you and show you what your behavior has cost, what your negligence has cost, what your mediocrity has cost. So for example, we're supposed to do something. We're supposed to go to, the source of market to get, some livestock, down to from Sokoto to Ife, and we told our guy saying, "Oh, you're gonna go to this place for the company to go and do this."
Yeah.
And I think the day of the of the trip, or the day of the trip, you come and say, "Oh no, your parents said you shouldn't go, that the streets are unsafe and everything." It's fine. It's valid excuse and reason, But if you told me like 3 days before, it would have helped me, right? So, and because we're founders, is the vision, is the dream, is my dream. I know what I'm saying. we're just like, yeah, it's fine, it's cool, but you're not a reliable person, and we don't work with unreliable people because it means you fuck me up in future. I get on the bus and I go to where I'm supposed to go to. And the journey, it's like a 24 hours journey, right? And it's rough, and it's this and it's that. And I come back with body ache, and I'm coming back with headache, and I come back and I still do the pitching, and I do the business plan, and I do this and I'm doing that. Because you don't see those things, which, to be honest, I'm not going to force you to see. Right? Because that's my job as a founder and leader. That's why some of us are called to be visionaries and founders. It's not everybody. The sleepless nights that PD has. When I was a road manager, I didn't care. The vision, like, I just wanted my money that they were paying me every month. So it's and when we and I'm going to talk from experience. When I started seeing, like, when we're doing radio promo and they're buying phones for OAP, and it's saying, so the company has money to buy this for the label, and they're not increasing my salary and stuff. There's a bit of that slide that was there with me, but I saw that. I saw when I gave so much value to the company. I know the times where my boss would give me a tip that is times 3 of my salary, or the artists I'm working with give me times 3, because there's value that has been added. And because of my diligence, the company is able to advance forward. And there were times where I've had conversations where I know when PD stopped looking at me as an employee and started looking at me as someone that can bounce ideas off on. So it's when, I think, as founders, at every point in time, you always, as leaders, we need to always expose the people that we're working with. And the fear of founders is usually, because I've trained people so much that they've beaten the finger that fed them. But one thing I always know is that most of them, the ones that come back to bite the fingers that fed them, never advance past the level of exposure you give them. So there's really nothing for me to be worried about. And also because I'm a progressive visionary. Now I tell people I don't like being introduced as an entertainment lawyer anymore, because I do more than entertainment law. Like, I am an executive. I am a visionary person. So address me as that. I'm very conscious of what people call me and the brand that I put out. I'm very, very conscious about it. So if you think that what I taught you that I learned 5 years ago, you're going to use it to compete with me now. No. So I'm never worried. If you come back and, bite me the finger, I'm just like, those ones. And that's one of the biggest problems of Nigerians right now. A lot of our leaders feel like, oh, this young guy is becoming progressive. So you try to stifle, people around. But now, like, if you work with me, like, people that work with me, they know within 1 year, you are moving from executive assistant to leading a department. I don't have time. If now 1 year you've not learned anything, next. And don't ever say you work for Foza, please. Don't disgrace my name outside. But that's my aim. That's my style of leadership. I want that at the end of the 4th year, you should be having. I've not been in the office because some issues. I've not been in the office for like 2 months. I don't know what's going on in my office, but it's running. It's running. I can stay out of the office for 6 months. I can relocate. 6 months. I know that I have 2 people or 3 people there that are running. And that's the level. That's how I feel like everybody needs to be thinking if we want to progress as a country, as an industry. Let those of us that are visionary focus on creating the path and bringing people to understand the vision so that they can run. And don't be scared for people. Like, I love the fact that when PD sees me outside, like, Foza, help us now, boss. Because it's not like it's PD. I don't like PD is like one of those bosses that are just like, okay, you won't say it outside, but just like, that's someone that comes from me. Osage, the same thing. All my mentors, Uduak, are people that I've consistently learned from. And I go back to them to tell them, thank you, for showing me this, for showing me that. And they're proud. My job as a mentee is to make my mentor proud. And I give back to the source I take from. And I've helped them also in different ways to add value to their, which is, I feel, should be the camaraderie and the association that we need to build as an industry, not the shark, capitalist way.
Yeah, dog eat dog. Oh.
Yeah, but even now our dog, you skinny dog that is eating dog. Well, there's no fat dog in this industry.
Okay. Quick, short answer. Yeah. So we don't last one, final one. I know I said it before. With the spaces you've been in, the emails you're exchanging, the phone calls you're having, what you're seeing, is the future bright for the music industry? Are we in for more money, more success?
Bro, is so bright like the sun.
Whoa.
But unfortunately, it's the sharks that will get the money. The fair people, except the fair people, like, I know what the fair people like us used to do is we used to complain, we used to be humble, we just sit back, relax, and just say our work would speak for us. Fuck that. See, if you're if you're good at what you do, and you know your shit, you need to talk about it. That's why I take interviews these days. Before, I can't be bothered because I'm like, this 2 hours I can be using it to do something, this thing. But I realized that when the good people don't talk, bad people prevail. And now the bad people are at the forefront because they're the ones, investing in traveling, investing in talking to these people, saying they have big knowledge that they know. I used to complain about that, but they're doing the work to get the money. Before 2020 hit, oh boy, if you knew the amount of money that was coming into the industry. Now, COVID hits. These people are like, so people are just selling us a pack of cards. The fundamentals and the structure are not really working. So those of us that have the fundamental and structural proper solution, there's so much money. But we're the ones that will get it. Then you'll be upset that the executives are making money. But we're the ones doing the work. So there's stupendous money to be made. In the next 10 years, there's going to be a radical shift. So you have to position yourself brilliantly,
Lovely. Oyinkansola Fawehinmi, world famous entertainment lawyer and visionary and entrepreneur. Thank you so much for
Thank you
your
so
time.
much.